I'm on this winding path one last time. One last time. Let me explain why. It all began when I graduated the medical faculty. As I walked across the stage to receive my diploma, the mayor's eyes seemed to follow me. From that day on, he made an effort to attend every event or ceremony related to my career as a doctor. My childhood friends Rosie and Sam were also there, cheering me on with their loud voices and beaming smiles. Despite our busy schedules, we promised to catch up more often now that I had graduated. As I entered my first job as a doctor, I was full of hope and ambition. The hospital was located in a small town, far from the bustling city that I was used to. But it didn't matter to me, as long as I could put my medical knowledge and skills into practice. But reality hit me hard. The hospital was understaffed and underfunded. The equipment was outdated and the working conditions were poor. Patients came in with various illnesses, some easily cured with proper treatment, while others were too severe for us to handle. I remember one day when a young girl came in with a high fever and difficulty breathing. She needed urgent care, but we didn't have the necessary equipment or medication to treat her. We did our best to stabilize her condition, but she passed away before we could transfer her to a better equipped hospital. That incident haunts me to this day. It made me realize the harsh reality of our healthcare system. How many lives could be saved if only we had access to better resources? One day, as Rosie entered the hospital lobby to visit me, she couldn't help but notice the gleaming glass and marble walls, a stark contrast to the outdated equipment and overworked staff. She shook her head in frustration as she thought about the government's priorities. She thought back to her childhood with me, when we would play doctor together in our makeshift clinic made out of cardboard boxes. Even then, we had big dreams of making a difference in people's lives through medicine. But as she grew older, Rosie realized that not everyone had access to proper health care like we did. Some families couldn't afford to seek medical help until it was too late, while others were turned away from hospitals due to lack of funds or resources. It all began when I graduated the medical faculty. My childhood friends Rosie and Sam were also there. As I entered my first job as a doctor, I was full of hope and ambition. The wind rushes past me as I speed down the road, my lungs heaving with each sharp inhale. It's moments like these that cleanse not just my body, but my very soul. I've worked hard to get here, finished school, found a wonderful wife, and I can't help but thank the universe for how lucky I am. But it's not about me anymore. It's about all the lives I'll save through my career. The thought alone brings tears to my eyes. As I ride around the lake, the sun glinting off its surfaces takes my breath away. The beauty of this moment is almost overwhelming. My serotonin levels skyrocketing as I take in the magnificent view. With each deep breath, I feel alive and invigorated, grateful for the ability to experience such joy and freedom on this ride. Somebody better grab an extinguisher, because I am literally on fire. Sam, the one I mentioned earlier, was actually the mayor's son. His family had strong ties to the mob. One night, he got into a heated altercation with the rival mob leader's son over a girl. Unfortunately, things escalated and he ended up in my surgery room. Initially, everything appeared to be progressing well during the surgery. However, his body had an unexpected reaction to the medications used. His CRP levels began to rise uncontrollably, and I was at a loss as to why this was happening. I looked up at the clock. Every second felt like an eternity. The weight of responsibility weighed heavily on my shoulders, not just because he was the mayor's son, but because I had promised to save lives. I knew that I would be held accountable for Sam's death, even though it was beyond my control. The pressure from both sides intensified, and soon enough, my career was under threat. The pressure from Sam's family and the rival mob leader's family reached a boiling point. They were both demanding answers and were not satisfied with my explanation that it was just an unforeseen reaction to the medication. Things were about to get ugly. The next day, rumors began circulating about my involvement with the mob, and accusations flew left and right. My superiors called me into their office and demanded an explanation. How could they think that saving lives was a mere risk to me? But I knew that any outburst would only make things worse. I did everything in my power, I replied calmly, trying to keep my emotions in check. But deep down, I knew that this wasn't just about Sam's death anymore. Maybe all those years of studying and working hard meant nothing in this world where politics trumped everything else. I sighed heavily as I walked back to my office. The wind chime outside tinkled softly, offering a brief moment of solace before reality came crashing back down again. Things escalated and ended up in my surgery room. I knew that I would be held accountable for Sam's death. The next day, rumors began circulating about my involvement with the mob. My wife, Rosie, was a force to be reckoned with. She was a successful real estate broker and also happened to be related to the mayor. Her connections and charm made her a formidable figure in our community. Her manicured nails tapped nervously on the tabletop, her well-coiffed hair hiding the creases of worry on her forehead. I know this sounds like a terrible thing to say about my future wife, but despite her charming smile and smooth words, a nagging doubt lingered in the air about her true intentions. Despite this, we had formed a close bond over the years in our small town. As the sun set on my day shifts, Rosie and I would often escape to the nearby theaters, surrounded by the quaint charm of our community. The warmth of nostalgia filled every moment we spent together, creating cherished memories. One night, as we sat at the dinner table, Rosie brought up the topic of starting a family. I could see the excitement in her eyes as she spoke about our future children. But all I could feel was fear. Fear of not being able to provide for them or protect them in this dangerous world we live in. It seemed that Sam's father, the mayor, had mob connections, and promptly used them against me. The hospital was obligated to let me go, especially after they organized some incidents that didn't quite work in my favor. Things turned ugly. They sullied my name all over, and I couldn't find a job anywhere after that. Being broke wasn't the only issue. Shameless gossip was propagated all around town, and by the end, I'd lost touch with many a friend and family member. My relationship with Rosie was also inevitably broke down, and we broke up. The propaganda was relentless. Rumors spread like wildfire, and my once supportive community turned against me. I could feel the stares and whispers everywhere I went. Even worse, my former colleagues refused to speak up for me after the backlash from the mob and the mayor's office. It seems like everyone had turned their backs on me. With no job prospects and dwindling savings, I was forced to sell my house and move into a small apartment on the other side of town. My parents were disappointed in me for losing my prestigious job and were ashamed of the rumors surrounding me. But the worst blow was, of course, what it did to me and Rosie. She couldn't handle the scandal surrounding my name, and didn't wish to risk her own reputation by continuing our association. As I packed up my belongings, memories of our past dates and conversations flooded my mind. How could she abandon me like this? After everything we had been through, it was like a dagger to my heart. But as much as it hurt, I couldn't blame her. The propaganda against me was cruel and relentless. Of course, she didn't want any part of it. She deserved better than being with someone who was constantly being shamed and slandered. I thought about reaching out to her, begging for another chance. But I knew deep down that it wouldn't make a difference. The damage had been done and our relationship was beyond repair. I began to spend my days searching for any job that would hire me, even if it meant starting at the bottom. But no one wanted to give me a chance. The mayor's influence seemed to reach every corner of our small town. It seemed that Sam's father, the mayor, had mob connections. The hospital was obligated to let me go. But the worst blow was, of course, what it did to me and Rosie. The memory of that fateful day in the hospital is a constant, never-ending present in my mind. The hours were dark and chaotic, turning my life upside down in an instant. Amidst the madness and chaos, I found a moment of clarity as I gazed out the room. My eyes fell upon a personnel guy swiftly and furtively holding a small bottle in his pocket. It said cyan something on it. He looked at me and winked. Mr. Salieri sends his regards. The sight sent shivers down my spine, a stark reminder of the dark lurking behind every corner. Even amidst the chaos, this image remains etched in my mind, haunting me endlessly. So this is why I've been on this winding path, to put an end to the crushing weight of sadness that has plagued me by throwing myself off the edge of this cliff. The jagged rocks below taunt me, daring me to take the leap and release myself from it all. The wind howls and whips at my hair and clothes, tugging me forward like an eager guide toward my ultimate destiny. The force of it's almost tangible, a physical reminder of this journey that lies ahead. The wind carries with it a scent of salt, a reminder of the vast ocean just beyond the craggy cliffs. It fills my nostrils and stirs up a sense of adventure and determination. The wind tastes of pure, untamed freedom, a rush of cool air that invigorates my senses and pushes me to take the leap towards my destiny. The gusts swirl around me, carrying with them the sense of earth, the echoes of the past travelers, and their stories. I take a deep breath, feeling both exhilarated and apprehensive as I step forward into the unknown. The personnel guy is etched into my mind, a symbol of death and betrayal. It must have been cyanide seeping through his veins like poison, planted by the rival mob to sabotage Sam's surgery. The memory haunts me, taunting me with the knowledge that I couldn't save him. And now, I'm left with nothing but shattered pieces of my former self. But I cling to one memory, a glimmer of joy amidst the darkness. Riding a bicycle 5 years ago, feeling the wind rush against my skin, and the freedom of breathing without fear or pain. It was a fleeting moment, but it remains burned into my soul. I choose to keep living despite the overwhelming grief and emptiness. Breathing is my purpose, my reason for living, and I've come to realize that it is actually the most profound purpose of all.